Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. Today, let's get into the latest Eagles news and rumors on a Monday. But first, as promised in our last mailbag video over the weekend, first 10 followers who followed me on my Twitter account, @RealThomasMott, which you can still go follow right now, they get a shout out on today's video. So here we go. Tom Bambury, shout out. Joe Mama, funny, but he gets a shout out as well. Disciple of the Sun, Dylan Grace, Jack Kane 11. Those are the first 5 who followed me. And then the next ones were JCR Gaiman218.tv, Joe Moroz, he say his last name, Ryan Lang, Tarlatch Brady, sorry if I butchered that, and then Broad Street Sports. Those are the first 10. Again, if you follow me on Twitter account, didn't get a shout out, you weren't one of the first 10. I was keeping track on my phone, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys who followed me as I tweet a ton of stuff regarding the Eagles. You should follow me right now @RealThomasMott. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into the first story of the day, and that is Tim McManus, the ESPN Philadelphia Eagles beat writer, who talks about creating another quarterback controversy, a.k.a. drafting a quarterback at number 6 overall. And I've been asked this question a ton, and I have been completely out on drafting a quarterback at number 6. I think you guys should be in the same boat. However, ESPN and Tim McManus say the Eagles should take and might take a quarterback at number 6. Now, of course, we know currently, the Eagles roster has one starting quarterback, or one quarterback in general. That, of course, is Jalen Hurts. He will be the starter in 2021, barring someone them drafting somebody at number 6 overall. However, with Nate Sudfeld being a free agent, what would Philadelphia do from just a backup quarterback standpoint versus maybe a quarterback competition, at least a new one brewing in Philadelphia? The Athletic Zach Berman said the Eagles will likely sign a veteran quarterback. We'll go through both those scenarios here in just one second. The real focus, though, of course, is Tim McManus' thoughts on the Eagles quarterback situation. Got a quote from him in an ESPN article earlier this past week. We'll throw that up on the screen right now. Quote, "Given all those factors, expect the Eagles to look very closely at the top quarterbacks in this draft. They don't intend on drafting this very high up very often and are feeling the weight of making the right decision with that number 6 pick. If the best player is a non-quarterback, so be it. But if the Eagles identify what they believe to be a long-term solution at the most important position in football and can have that player locked into a rookie contract for the next several seasons, then don't be surprised if they pounce, even if it means another quarterback controversy." Goodness gracious, that is definitely something, and we'll get my thoughts on that here in a second. Quick little take is ridiculous. Like, taking a quarterback at 6 could be the dumbest thing the Eagles have done. They've done a lot of dumb things the past couple of years. That would take the cake. But that leads us into the idea that Tim McManus also reported that Philadelphia is not thrilled with the return on the Wentz trade, which is a weird story to write and a really bizarre thing to go ahead and break down for you. Apparently, they thought Wentz's value was going to be more than what it was, and the reports inside Philadelphia are that they wanted to get more for Carson Wentz, but in the end, they went ahead and just took the best deal that they possibly could. That was the Colts deal we talked about all last week, where they get a 3rd-round draft pick and possibly a 1st-round draft pick overall. As, of course, Philadelphia has gotten rid of Carson Wentz and now tries to figure out what goes on with the quarterback situation. The real important thing, though, from the Tim McManus article is drafting a quarterback at number 6, which to me is very, very odd and very, very strange. Before I get my thoughts on that, I'll go and ask you guys the question. How angry would you be if Philadelphia drafted a quarterback at number 6 overall, from a scale of like 1 to 10? If they took a quarterback at 6, would you be like 10 in terms of like rage, super mad? That's where I would be. Or would you be at number 1? You're like, yay, that was a great idea. Give me your thoughts in the pinned comment down below right now. Listen, Philadelphia cannot take a quarterback at number 6. It's very simple. Here's why. Just because you want the idea of creating a quarterback battle does not include that it turns out to be a good result for Philadelphia. Creating a quarterback battle was one of the main reasons why Carson Wentz struggled in 2020. Whether you want to believe that or not, the reports came out and said that Carson Wentz was not happy with him drafting Jalen Hurts. He was constantly looking over his shoulder, and eventually, from the bad play on the field, which was Carson Wentz's fault, he got benched and brought in for Jalen Hurts. You don't want to create the same situation with Jalen Hurts being the starter in 2021. If you draft somebody at number 6 overall, you instantly create controversy. You instantly create a massive media narrative, which will be a repeat of what we had last offseason, where every single time Jalen Hurts struggles, you will immediately have thousands of fans calling for him to go ahead and be benched for Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or whoever the heck you take at number 6 overall. Not to mention, Philadelphia has plenty of draft needs overall that you want to go ahead and solve with number 6 overall. You need a wide receiver. You need another cornerback. You could use maybe some help on the defensive line, a linebacker. We talked about these needs. Go get a need. That way you put Jalen Hurts in the best position to go ahead and succeed. We talked about how I think Philadelphia blew their chance at making Carson Wentz a great quarterback. You saw in 2016 and 2017, they built a team around him. Then, with injuries and not good draft picks, they went ahead and made it basically seem like they didn't build around him and they didn't put good pieces around him, and that kind of contributed to the downfall. Offensive line was bad. Obviously, the defense put him in bad situations, and then the wide receiver core was as bad as you could possibly have. Why draft a quarterback to go ahead and create more controversy when you can go ahead and hopefully address big needs that you have in order to go ahead and give Jalen Hurts the best shot at being successful in 2021. If you want to know who my top 5 quarterbacks are, I'll show you on the list right now. I think Justin Fields is easily number 2 over Zach Wilson. Many people disagree with that. I'll take Justin Fields, though. I think Mac Jones is the 4th best quarterback based on production on the field, and then Trey Lance, a big wild card, but has a lot of potential based on what we saw 2 years ago at North Dakota State. Again, the main focus here is making sure that you give Jalen Hurts the best possible chance to win, and I feel like drafting a quarterback at number 6 does not do that. It doesn't help your team overall and just creates more controversy, and I think all of us can agree we're kind of tired of quarterback controversies right now in Philadelphia. Now, that leads us into the idea that, of course, Tim McManus said of signing a veteran quarterback. And there's a story right now on Fansided.com who suggests that Philadelphia should sign Tyrod Taylor as the perfect backup and also a perfect quarterback to compete for the starting job with Jalen Hurts. Now, I don't necessarily hate the idea of signing Tyrod Taylor, but I want him to just be a backup. Again, Taylor's good enough. If you bring him in, you create a quarterback controversy. And we all know and understand that Tyrod Taylor is not the future of the Philadelphia Eagles. Apparently, they tried to sign him back in 2015, but that was eons ago, so it does not really matter. I think this is more of a, let's just think of ideas to give the Eagles more controversy. That way we can keep covering controversy. I'm just so sick of it. Don't go sign Tyrod Taylor. We obviously know what happened in 2020. He had the punctured lung based on the injection he was supposed to get for his ribs. That basically derailed his entire season. Then they brought in, of course, Justin Herbert as the rookie quarterback who turned out to be a superstar. So maybe you want a bridge guy, but Hurts is ready to go. We saw in those 4 games that even though he has a lot of room to progress and a lot of work to be done, Jalen Hurts was seemingly ready to play quarterback as a rookie and should be a lot more ready to go ahead and play quarterback here in year 2. He actually, as a matter of fact, has been in my state right now, my city of Atlanta, working with the Georgia Tech facility with his private quarterback coach getting ready for the 2021 year. No hate for Tyrod Taylor. I think he could still be a good backup in this league. If they were to sign him, though, I would want to know for a fact that he was going to be a backup because I am very much against the idea of creating any sort of quarterback controversy. And it's not because I'm like anti-quarterback competition. It's not that I don't want to push Jalen Hurts or that I thought Carson Wentz should not have been pushed by Jalen Hurts, but you create a situation where if you start to struggle or have ups and downs, as all quarterbacks do, instead of just working through it and getting better, you're constantly looking over your shoulder and worried about being replaced, and that is not good for the development of a young franchise quarterback. We're guessing on the whole signing Tyrod Taylor. Type S down below for sign, type P down below for pass. I would pass on this unless you can guarantee me he's just a backup, but it does not seem to be the case. I'd rather just keep Nate Sudfeld as a backup quarterback if you guys are asking me. Before we move on right now, your Jalen Hurts prop bets are officially in. You get some fun offseason betting going on with our friends at BetUS, chatsports.com/Eagle Bet. And you, of course, use the promo code Eagles125 to go ahead and jump on that 125% deposit bonus. So here's your logo right now, or here's your Hurts prop bets. These are all minus 120. You bet $6, you win $5. So over under 12.5 games played, over under 3,400 passing yards, over under 25.5 TD passes, over under 12.5 interceptions, and of course 750 for the over under in rushing yards. Of course, we've been betting with our friends at BetUS. It's not just betting on games. You can bet on player props, future predictions, and a ton more. I mean, you can bet on the Sixers, bet on the Flyers, the Phillies. I mean, all this sort of stuff can be bet and done with our friends at BetUS. Go ahead and jump on this. Any questions, email us, eagles@chatsports.com. I would take, honestly, the over on a lot of those. Maybe, passing yards, I think you got to go over there. I think if he's a starter for all 16 games, as he should be, at least now as the franchise quarterback, the over is where I would go, especially to take a wide receiver with the 6th overall pick. Okay, let's move on here to the news of the weekend. Desean Jackson was released. No surprise here, although it was a surprise based on the time frame of it, just because it was like an afternoon on a Saturday. Either way, the Eagles have, of course, a terrible cap situation. We know they need to go ahead and trim the fat, as they say, to get underneath the cap here in 2021. And so they announced Desean Jackson on Friday. It wasn't Saturday, it was Friday. And cutting him, of course, clears up $4.9 million in cap space. Desean Jackson broke the news on his Instagram, and then later on, Philadelphia went ahead and gave an official, thanks to Desean Jackson. What do you do here, right? With Desean Jackson's overall Instagram story, it's not a surprise. It stinks that he has to go ahead and have the 2 years that he did. More on that in a second, but cutting him was exactly the right move. I'm going to do a cap cut video probably on Wednesday of this week, going through other players I think 100% could be cut. And there are some big names because Philadelphia is still like $35 to $40 million over the cap, so subscribe as we'll do that video a little bit later on this week. Now, again, the problem with Desean Jackson is not his ability as a player. I think a healthy Desean Jackson could still be a top receiver for a football team in this league. I think he was the right, honestly, I felt fine about the decision signing him 2 years ago. The problem was Desean Jackson has always been injured throughout his career, and the past 2 seasons in Philadelphia were absolutely no different. I mean, 5 games, 14 catches, 236 yards, and 1 touchdown. You think back to that touchdown catch he had again in the Dallas Cowboy game. That was his last catch and will be his last catch at a Philadelphia Eagle. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that they cut him. I think they had to go ahead and cut Desean Jackson, but it stinks that he never got to live up to the potential we thought that he could have just as early as 2 years ago. If he would have stayed healthy, the Eagles' offense could have been eons better, just giving the deep threat overall. I think he still can be a good deep threat for some team out there, but in terms of signing him back or keeping him in Philadelphia and not having to save money in the dead cap space, they had to go ahead and cut him to free up a slot, not only at the wide receiver position, hopefully for someone at number 6, Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase, and also to free up cap space, as $5 million in cap space being cleared makes a big difference in the overall grand scheme of where Philadelphia is at right now in the cap world. Okay, quick question here. Name a player you think is next on the chopping block. Again, I'm going to do my video talking about other players I think that can be cut in the coming days and weeks, but if you have a Philadelphia Eagle you think is going to get cut this offseason, let me know who that is down below. Okay, final story here, and this is another weekend one that I think is very interesting, and that has to do with changes at linebacker. So the Eagles, of course, traded for Genard Avery. Remember this? It's like a 4th-round draft pick this year, one of the reasons why they don't have a 4th in 2021. They traded to the Browns for what was pass rusher Genard Avery. Now, he never really got into the Jim Schwartz defense. Like, he played like 159 snaps his entire career in Philadelphia. Very undersized and I think, utilized pass rusher, but a guy who never really was a great pass rusher overall. And so Philadelphia apparently is going to go ahead and try and convert him to linebacker, as he had some Instagram and social media posts showing the transition to being a, hand in the ground 4-3 DN to potentially an outside linebacker. And the main reason you think this could be successful, of course, is the size. He's only 6 foot, 250 pounds, and makes a lot more sense as a linebacker, being mobile and athletic versus being a small, undersized, speedy pass rusher. This could be big for Philadelphia. I think that Philadelphia could really benefit from Genard Avery going to linebacker. Now, can he, instantly be a top linebacker in this league? Probably not. It's another body to throw into competition in what is a very, I think lackluster linebacking core, and we'll show you the depth chart here in a second, but this could be a big move for Philadelphia, or it could be absolutely nothing, right? I mean, Avery could struggle as being a linebacker, much like Jalen Mills struggled at being a safety for the majority of the 2020 season. But it makes sense based on the linebacking depth chart you see on your screen right now. I mean, who's the best linebacker in this group? Is it TJ Edwards? I mean, I like what Alex Singleton did. I think Duke Riley had some positive notes during the Eagles season, but none of these linebackers make you go, wow, Philadelphia's in really good hands at linebacker. They need help at linebacker. That's why I consider Micah Parsons to be one of my top choices behind a wide receiver at number 6 overall. However, if Avery can go ahead and be successful in a transition, then that means Philadelphia got a starting linebacker for simply a 4th-round draft pick this past year, as he's on a very cheap deal, and that's a win-win for Philadelphia if it works out. There you go, the ultimate out for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed. Plenty more videos coming in the coming days and weeks. A lot to get into. I mean, the Tim McManus stuff on drafting a quarterback is insane. Carson Wentz, I mean, you're unhappy for the trade. I think they got good market value overall for him. And then, of course, all the other stories we talked about. Tyrod Taylor and Desean Jackson and Genard Avery. Plenty of things happening in a crazy Eagle offseason. We'll keep you guys up to date and covered here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Ultimate out for today here. I'm your host, Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.